So coming up this weekend, we do have a short nose replacement. Jackson McVey is now going to be taking on Zach Reese after Jackson McVey, of course, was originally meant to be going against Robert Valentin, which I think actually would have been a very good fight. Now, of course, there were rumors that Dante Johnson was going to fight McVey, but he was never medically cleared, and that is why I didn't make a video on that situation because Big Marcel never posted it. So the fight was never official. But we do have McVey versus Reese, which is official. And just to start it off, I actually do think that Zach Reese is going to win this fight. And I do think the fact that it's at 195 pounds will favor him as well. Despite McVey being a massive middleweight, Zach Reese is huge for this weight class. And I think at 195, I think despite it being on short notice, if anything, that weight change advantages him more. Because I do think out of these two guys, if anyone is draining more weight to make 185, it is Zach Reese. But before I do get into a bit of a breakdown, I want to say I'm pretty happy. This was my final exam of the year, so I have officially finished my third year of engineering, and I will be going into my fourth and final year to get my bachelor's in civil engineering next year, so that's pretty good. And on the same day, my Portland Trailblazers beat the undefeated OKC Thunder. I know the Thunder were on a back-to-back, and I think they had like one or two starters injured, but my Blazers won, and I'm relatively happy about that. I do think that the Blazers, low key, if they don't make the playoffs, it's probably not a bad thing because they do owe a protected pick to Chicago anyways, so we probably want to keep that. But it is what it is. Let's talk about this fight now. Jackson McVey, I did go and rewatch his UFC debut, and I did rewatch one or two of his LFA fights as well. And I will say, he did fight very differently in that UFC debut as he did in the LFA fight, so it'll be interesting to see the style that he does come out with. Because in the LFA, the reason why he's getting so many finishes is because he is super hyper aggressive coming forward, throwing combinations, attempting takedowns, just doing anything to get the fight finished. Whereas against Bruno Ferreira, he had a much more reserved sort of game plan, and he really was just kind of low volume striking from range. And it did look like whenever Ferreira landed on him, he was getting hurt, whether it was that big leg kick, that big the hook at the start. He got a takedown on Ferreira, but once Ferreira got on top of him, it was very easily reversed. He didn't really have anything on the ground when he was having to be defensive. And I think that's where he actually probably could struggle with Zach Reese a little bit, because when McVey got signed to the UFC, I compared him to Reese a lot, because I do see a lot of similarities in the fact that they're 6'4" with 77-inch reaches. But also, their careers started out very similarly. They didn't really beat good competition on the come up, but they beat them quickly, they beat them impressively. And I do think that Reese and McVey do have similar qualities, but I think that Reese does just hit harder on the feet. And the thing about Reese as well is I do think that his grappling is a bit better than McVey's as well. So I am actually going to be picking Reese to win this fight. I'm going to be picking Reese to win this fight by knockout, actually. But I do want to see here, are the odds out for this fight yet? It doesn't look like it. Maybe they are on BetOnline and FightOdds.io. Just hasn't quite got there. But I'm picking Zach Reese. I'm picking Zach Reese by knockout. If McVey has any flaws, it is his striking defense. It's just not something that has impressed me so far. And the fight against Bruno Ferreira in general was just very awkward. Even the grappling situations were very awkward. You know, Bruno Ferreira literally picked him up when McVey was on his back and then slammed him on the ground and then proceeded to armbar him from a mounted top position. It was a very awkward fight in general. Even on the feet, it was quite weird, but I do think that Reese is going to be the one just with some advantages here. I don't know if Tapology has picked Reese in these. It looks like only one vote's come through. I'm picking Reese. I'm picking Reese by knockout. Let me know what you think in the comments below.